Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom, and of course big news would break when I'm in the shower, wouldn't it? So if you'd like to comment on the state of my hair and the fact that I look like a wet otter, then so be it, go ahead. But far more important than my appearance frankly is never important. We're here to talk about the football. But far more important than my appearance or my hair is the fact that Derby County have been found not guilty of the two FFP charges levied against them by the EFL in January. Not guilty. No points deducted. Away they go. According to the Independent Disciplinary Commission that deals with this stuff, they have done nothing wrong. Those are not my words. Those are not anybody's opinions. They are findings given by the Commission. So let's have a look at this. Now, we've done a load of these on the channel. Birmingham deducted 9 points in 18-19. Sheffield Wednesday deducted 12 points. Sheffield Wednesday were found guilty. Derby were not found guilty. I'm being very, very clear about this because sadly, whenever we do these FFP videos, we do get a lot of comments from people who don't appear to know what the charges are, what's actually happened. They may or may not like the club. They may want to just see some chaos and they want everybody apart from their team to be deducted 12 points. Please, if that's the case, please do a little bit of reading. I'm going to go through it right now. Also, Wigan Athletic were deducted 12 points for going into administration. That's very sad for Wigan. Their owner is very, very silly. That's nothing to do with this. So, please, comparisons with Wigan, not really relevant because it's administration versus FFP. Comparisons with Sheffield Wednesday, not really relevant because Sheffield Wednesday were found guilty and Derby haven't been found guilty. Let's try and make this a place for sensible debate where we look at the facts rather than just, I don't like Derby, I want to see them deducted points for no other reason than I don't like them. Here is what the EFL have said. Listen very carefully. In January 2020, following a review of Derby County's profitability and sustainability submissions, the EFL charged the club for recording losses in excess of the permitted amounts provided for in EFL regulations for the 3-year period ending 30th June 2018. So first thing you need to think about with this case, they were charged in January 2020, again very similar to Sheffield Wednesday, for infractions that were 2 years old. This is a stadium sale that went through on that year's books. The issue was the amount of the sale. Again, please, whatever you think of selling your stadium to yourself, it is not illegal. I'm not coming at this from a Derby County fan, defender, apologist point of view. I'm defending the facts here, okay? Because I know people will say, oh, they sold their stadium, they're crooks. It's not illegal. Overvaluing it would have been, but they haven't been found guilty. And I think what we're going to conclude in this is the EFL have now charged a litany of people that independent disciplinary commissions have found not guilty. So I really want to have a look at the EFL's role in this, frankly. An independent disciplinary commission has dismissed the charge brought against the club in respect of the valuation associated with the sale of Pride Park. That is fairly black and white. The EFL charged Derby over the valuation. That charge has been dismissed. The valuation is okay. By the way, a couple of weeks after the Sheffield Wednesday charge, we did get detailed findings. So I will do another video. The EFL literally published a blow-by-blow account of what the disciplinary commission concluded. So we will have a look at that further down the line. So first thing to say, charge made in January pertaining to 2018 for the stadium, not guilty. Independent disciplinary commission, fine with that. Okay? Also, I will reiterate, selling your stadium to yourself is not illegal. It's a loophole. It's okay. Whether you agree with that morally or not is up to you and is also frankly irrelevant because in the EFL laws, you're allowed to do it. Who did it now? Reading, Birmingham, Villa, Sheffield Wednesday. I'm probably missing somebody out. Someone will check me in the comments on that, I'm sure. I'm on the third paragraph. A second charge relating to the club's policy regarding the amortisation of intangible assets was found proven only in respect of the club's failure to properly disclose a change in policy in 2015. Therefore, the amortisation of players, amortisation is where, now I'm not an expert on this, go to Kieran Maguire at Price of Football on this. Amortisation is, as I understand it, how you add assets up across years and their relative depreciation or appreciation. For example, if you sign a player, you can amortise that transfer fee, and that player can either appreciate or depreciate in value, and you can write that into your books. I will not pretend I understand that. I don't. I'm not an accounts bod. What I do understand is that wording there. Their actual amortisation, there's no problem with, but they should have properly disclosed the change in policy in 2015. The Commission found that the club's approach to amortisation did not break Financial Standard FRS 102, whatever that is. I'm sure it will be in the full report. The EFL notes the decision of the Commission and will now consider the judgment in full before commenting further. Both parties have 14 days to appeal. Now, we have had situations here where the EFL has then gone ahead and appealed again. So that could happen. In terms of Derby, I don't know what they would appeal against unless they want to bring slander charges or something for saying that they'd broken FFP when they hadn't. But I would assume Derby will now go away quietly and go on with their business. We could get an appeal. Right, so the conclusion to that is it seems very, very clear. Charge made in 2020 over 2018 stadium sale, not guilty over the valuation. Be interesting to see what they've concluded on that. Be interesting to see that because everyone seemed to think that, I think it was 80 million, wasn't it? That value was too high, but it's not. They're not guilty. Okay, fact. Unless we get an appeal and a whole new load of information. Yeah. The second thing, the amortisation is okay, but they should have let them know about the change in policy. Maybe that was the issue, that they didn't know they were amortising assets in a certain way because of a change of policy. That now appears to be cleared up. The EFL could appeal against this. The EFL do look a bit silly. We'll talk about all of the bits and bobs here. This has gone up on Derby's website. In January of this year, Derby was charged in respect of two matters. Charge 1, the club's valuation with the sale of Pride Park. Charge 2, the club's amortisation policy with intangible fixed assets, players. Okay. The club strongly contested the challenge to the valuation of Pride Park, as well as the newly notified charge in respect of intangible fixed asset amortisation, and has been consistent relating to the matter from the outset. The charges held up against the club were put to an independent disciplinary commission. The outcome was as followed. They're very black and white with this. Charge 1 was dismissed. Charge 2 is also dismissed, save for the Commission found the wording of the amortisation policy in the financial statements could have been clearer, i.e. it changed in 2015. They're a little bit different in what they're saying, but they come to the same conclusion. There, the full written decision of the Disciplinary Commission, and this is what I referred to in the Sheffield Wednesday case, will be published in due course. I will have a look through that and we'll do a video on that. You can stop watching now and wait for that if you want. I do have more to say though. Derby is delighted at the outcome and will at this stage not be making further comment relating to the matter, and the full focus of everyone at the club is now on preparation for the 2020-21 season. So, the key information here, Derby will not be receiving a points deduction. Sheffield Wednesday have received a points deduction of 12 points. Sheffield Wednesday were found guilty and Derby weren't. So I'm sure we'll get comments saying if Sheffield Wednesday got deducted points, why aren't Derby? Well, Derby were not found guilty and Sheffield Wednesday were found guilty. That's quite clear. I'm just laying this out because I know the sort of comments we get on these FFP videos, sadly. Again, I will reiterate, if your position is that Derby should have been found guilty without seeing, and you've come to that conclusion without seeing the report of what the Independent Disciplinary Commission has said, please comment that and give me your evidence as to why, because I'd like to see it, and I'm sure the Disciplinary Commission would like to see it if it's different than anything that these very highly qualified people have come to. in their decision that Derby are not guilty. Again, let's try and not make this a childish football bantery. I don't like Derby. I want them to suffer because I don't like them. That's not really relevant here. So, Birmingham, first off, on FFP, that was in 18-19, where they clearly overspent. They got the 9 points. They didn't appeal against anything. They cooperated with the inquiry. They got the 9 points. We move on. I think we can all tick Birmingham off here because I know people are going to draw comparisons. Birmingham found guilty. Derby found not guilty. Okay. Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday, the case was different. The case really now boils down. Sheffield Wednesday were found not to have acted in bad faith, i.e. what I'm about to say wasn't found to have been done in a malevolent way, let's just say. Sheffield Wednesday published, they did a stadium sale as well, and they put it through in an incorrect year that it should have been. That was found by the Disciplinary Commission not to have been done in bad faith. So the only issue is, and you can debate this all day long on the other video, whatever you want, the only issue is when the 12-point deduction should have been levied. It could have been levied, at the time, again in 2018, in which case they wouldn't have been relegated. They were 24 points clear. It could have been levied last season, which would have relegated them. And it's been levied next season. So, if we're drawing comparisons, there isn't really a comparison here, is there? Because Sheffield Wednesday have been found guilty. Derby have been found not guilty. If you want to debate when the levy for Sheffield Wednesday should have been handed over, you need to go to my other videos. There's, I think, 3 of them on Sheffield Wednesday. Go and debate that on there. Okay, so if we're comparing Sheffield Wednesday and Derby, well, one's guilty and one's not guilty. So there's not really much of a comparison to be made. Again, with Wigan, I know people will say, oh, Wigan got deducted points. Derby didn't. Wigan went into administration. The rules are very, very clear. However, shocking and frankly heartbreaking the actions of that owner were. And I have every sympathy with Wigan fans, players, manager, everyone except for the owners, frankly, on that one. It's very clear you get a 12-point deduction if you put into administration. That's nothing to do with this case. So hopefully I have now outlined all the comparisons people are going to make with respect to this judgment. I don't think any of them are relevant. I don't think we should be mentioning Wigan, Sheffield Wednesday or Birmingham. Yeah, because they were all found guilty, and in Wigan's case, they were found guilty of something that's completely different to this. What we need to now find out from Derby, and we may need to wait a little bit, is that the Pride Park valuation did seem high, but I'm happy to go with the Independent Disciplinary Commission's findings that it was okay. We have to trust these people. They've been brought in as an independent body by the EFL and then have gone ahead and disagreed with the EFL. But if they've found the truth, then so be it. And Derby have been found not guilty. Okay? Anyone making judgments here about the valuation is probably best off waiting until we get the Independent Disciplinary Commission's findings, what the number is, how the number was reached, whether what's been reported is accurate, etc., etc. We will find out. The amortisation, I'm afraid, I have to confess, is a little bit over my head. I do have to say, but they're arguing that the wording changed, but the actual practice they were using for their intangible assets, which are players in terms of their appreciation and depreciation, we would all understand that if you sign, if you have Louis Sibley on your books and he scores a hat-trick in his second game, his value increases. Yeah? If you have Richard Keogh and he's your captain and he ruptures his cruciate ligament in a car accident, his value decreases. I'm sure we all understand that, and we will find out more. So, my reaction to this is, firstly, that I'm going to wait and see the exact wording and find out, especially on that Pride Park issue, what they've concluded about the valuation, etc. And see it compared with other grounds and what they've come up with. I'm sure we'll be given a reason and an argument as to why their valuation is okay. With the amortisation, again, I'm a duck out of water on that. What I would like to raise now is this issue now with the EFL. Forget Wigan, that was administration. But they've charged Derby and the disciplinary commission have found Derby to be not guilty. They've charged Sheffield Wednesday, and they wanted Sheffield Wednesday to have the points deducted this season. And the disciplinary commission has basically said, well, you kind of messed this up, EFL, because if you wanted to charge them, you should have done it ages ago, and it wouldn't have been fair on this season. So again, the disciplinary commission have kind of found the EFL to be a bit lacking. Birmingham were also charged again this year, found not guilty, then the appeal found them guilty, but the EFL aren't levying anything. So my reaction to this really is, what on earth are the EFL doing here? Because they've now charged Derby, who have been found not guilty, and I'm sure we'll get an appeal. But now if they appeal and they win the appeal, well, that happened with Birmingham, but then they didn't levy any sanctions against Birmingham. So it's all very, very confusing. We know from the Sheffield Wednesday case we need the rules tidied up on when points are going to be deducted. That's not so much an issue with this one, because I guess it would obviously now be next season because they've found it right now, and again it's 2 years ago. So that needs to be clearly tidied up. But there seems to be a lot of charges made and not go through, and disciplinary commissions not agreeing with the EFL. So it does seem to be rather a mess, the whole thing. As I've said numerous times on this video, let's try and make this a sensible place to debate these things. So if you do want to come on the video and just put, oh, Derby should be guilty, they should this, they should that, please put your evidence. And if your only criteria for wanting Derby to be deducted 12 points is that you don't like the club, then that's just a bit silly, and maybe go and comment on another more emotionally led video rather than a factually led video, which this is trying to be. Hopefully I'm not sounding too snotty about this, but you have to understand I put a lot of effort into researching this video, and yes, I invite everybody's opinion, but then I get lots of opinions that haven't listened to a word I've said, haven't listened to any of the evidence, haven't done any of the research, and come to a conclusion that's just complete nonsense, frankly, because if they've read any of the evidence they would have. You take my point. It gets a bit frustrating when you see literally hundreds of comments come in of that nature. So please get your thoughts in on Derby being found not guilty, what we expect to find in when the findings are published, particularly pertaining to that amount that Pride Park was sold for. I think it was 80 million. I'll go back and check. Look, we're going to find out. Let's try and have a sensible discussion here in the comments on this video and not make it a silly, I don't like Derby, I'd like to see them deducted 12 points for no other reason other than I don't like them and I support a rival team, or etc, etc. Or I like to see chaos and drama as long as it's not associated with my club. And it all becomes looking at car crashes on the other side of the road, doesn't it? You know, it's all very interesting unless you're involved in the car crash, in which case it's rather traumatic, let's just say. Right, I think I've gone through all of the information there. I think I've gone through all the facts. Get your comments in. Please don't let your emotion overcome your reason on this. I've tried to lay out why a Sheffield Wednesday comparison isn't relevant, why a Birmingham comparison isn't relevant, and why a Wigan comparison, frankly, is totally irrelevant because that's guilty of a different offence as well. Get your comments in. I'll get off my high horse and go and put the hairdryer on my hair. And more on this when we get it, and certainly there'll be another video when we get the findings. Right, I'm going to go and calm the hell down, and I'll see you all on the next video. Derby found not guilty. Over and out.